Treasury Secretary is making headlines for all the wrong reasons today after going on a bizarre rant over wealth. It all started with an Instagram post from Steve Mnuchin's wife, Louise Linton. She's an actress who recently married the millionaire. Well, Linton posted a picture stepping off of a government plane as she joined her husband for a visit to Fort Knox. She added the hashtag, "Great day trip to Kentucky," and then followed that up with 5 more hashtags, all related to the high-end designer clothing she was wearing. Well, Jennifer Miller from Oregon responded to that post by saying, quote, "Glad we could pay for your little getaway. Hashtag deplorable." Well, Linton lashed back at that comment, touting her wealth, personal sacrifice, and belittling the Oregon mother of 3 for having less money than her. Linton writing, quote, "Have you given more to the economy than me and my husband, either as individual earner in taxes or in self-sacrifice to your country? I'm pretty sure we paid more taxes toward our day, quote, trip than you did. Pretty sure the amount we sacrifice per year is a lot more than you'd be willing to sacrifice if the choice was yours." Linton goes on to say, quote, "You're adorably out of touch." Joining us now to discuss is Jennifer Miller, the woman who was on the receiving end of Linton's rant. Also with us, CNN White House reporter Kate Bennett. Thank you both for coming on. I want to start with you, Jennifer. What prompted you to reply to Linton's Instagram post? Let's start there.
Honestly, it was probably just a weak moment for me. It was the first time I'd ever posted on someone's Instagram.
Really?
If I didn't know them. Yeah, this is not something I make a habit of, but I was frustrated already by some stories I had just read about the Secret Service running out of overtime money because of the excesses of the administration's travel schedule, and then saw this woman who I didn't know who she was. I knew who the Treasury Secretary was, so I assumed it was his wife, getting off of a government plane for what I assumed was a government trip, and basically advertising for all of these European, high-end brands that your average person couldn't afford, especially anyone in Kentucky, where they were visiting one of the poorest states in our country.
So you make this post as something that you don't normally do, then you probably go about your day. Then she responds in this long rant. What is your reaction to her response and the backlash she's getting?
Well, once I found out about the response, I was a little bit amused and a little bit horrified, but mostly just confused as to why she would take the time or effort or energy to put together such a response. And, if I had any respect for her, it probably would have been hurtful, because she was very condescending and she made a lot of assumptions about me and my husband and my life and my family. So, but all of that didn't matter really to me so much until it blew up and the whole world started texting me. So I finally had to go and look at the whole thing.
So that's how you found out that she had responded, because people started letting you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't sit on Twitter or Instagram all day. I have a full-time job and 3 children and things to do. So it really struck me that clearly she took the time to look at your profile, because she said, you have 3 cute kids. She's looking at your profile and yet making these assumptions that that clearly she's wealthier than you and that you have not given back to the economy as much as she had, and so forth. And she even called you, quote, adorably out of touch. Your reaction? Isn't that ironic? Yeah, I find that to be probably the most out of touch statement of her whole response, because I certainly am not the type of person who would try to display my wealth or brag about it in any way. It was deplorable what she wrote in the first place, and then her response was even worse, because if anyone's out of touch, it's certainly the person using taxpayer money to go on day trips to visit a to visit Fort Knox. Apparently they were going to stare at the gold bullion. I don't know.
Well, I mean, even if the trip was legitimate to Kentucky, she did go to Fort Knox with her husband. You know, what you really took issue with, it seems, is that she was posting about the designer clothes she was wearing, particularly in a state with a high poverty rate. Kate, I want to go to you because I understand Linton has since deleted her post. She has made her Instagram account private. Is Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary of the White House, saying anything about this?
So far, no comment. The post was deleted shortly after it started to make the rounds on Twitter last night and go viral. She took her account private shortly thereafter. That's probably why Ms. Miller didn't quite see the response and wasn't up for so long. The White House has not commented on this today. Ms. Linton hasn't apologized. The only thing, a spokesperson from the Treasury Department did say that the Mnuchins will be reimbursing the government for the cost of Ms. Linton's travel to Kentucky, and that she was not compensated in any way by those high-end luxury fashion brands that she tagged. She did remove those tags, but she initially tagged there on that Instagram post Valentino and Hermes and Tom Ford. So they wanted to make clear that she wasn't being compensated. However, you know, in terms of taste, the damage was done.
So I want to go to you lastly, Jenny. You know, you had said you posted on her account in a moment of weakness. What do you think now? Do you have any regrets about doing that, or are you glad you did, considering, you know, what kind of a spotlight this might have shed on the situation?
I'm actually glad. I'm glad that, you know, they are reimbursing all of us, the government, the taxpayers, for this trip that she used to advertise for brands that, I don't know if her friends own them or what, but I think that that's a good outcome. And also it's given me a chance to have a lot of followers on Instagram who I've shared a fundraiser with for a friend of mine who recently had a stroke, and a lot of people are donating to that. And so I'm trying to make some good out of this situation.
All right, Jenny Miller, best of luck to your friend, by the way. I saw that link on your profile. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.